the billing. It's critical. If we get our billing right, we get paid. But if you don't meet their expectations, you're not going to get paid timely.
Your collections procedures and everything start at onboarding, because how you onboard that customer is going to set the tone for how they pay you. Hello, everyone. Sven Nelson, C2C Resources, also known as the guy that gets you paid, here with my guest, Andrew Perry. Andrew, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you for having me, Sven. My name is Andrew Perry. I'm a senior director at Clean Harbors. I'm over the credit and collections for the company globally. Been doing this for roughly 15 odd years as far as leading order to cash functionality across various companies, but mostly large companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, and global operations. Thrilled to be here and be part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for being the best part of the show. Andrew, I want to ask you, how did you get into credit?
Well, like a lot of people, I kind of stumbled into it when I was very young, actually too young to work. My dad fell ill, and he owned a collection agency, and
Oh, wow.
he brought me into the mix, wanted to train me on give me an opportunity to have a career, I guess, just in case something happened. And so I went to work for him in his collection agency when I was 13, and I was too young to legally work. So he paid me cash like I was mowing yards. So I just made a little more money than I would mowing a yard. And I started there learning the collection business, and eventually, probably around age 20 or so, we got the opportunity to get into the credit side of the business, and had a wonderful manager that took a chance on me and trained me from somebody that truly knew zero about the credit side of the business. And here I am almost 100 years later, and I have covered a lot of ground in that time. So
Absolutely.
along the way, I currently serve on the advisory board at NACM Southwest. Previously, I was elected by my peers to serve on board of directors at NACM Gulf States.
Okay.
And there I served as a treasurer. Also have trained other industry professionals that are trying to pursue NACM credentials, and really all in now for credit, and love the fact that any, especially new up-and-comer personnel or employees that are coming through that have a real desire to learn about credit, love that, and do everything I can to help further their careers.
That's
Keep
awesome.
that industry alive.
I love it that you're sharing with everybody else, and helping other people along their journey. And that's what this show is all about, is helping other people on their journey and helping them discover, and tell their story, right? So what is it that you love about credit so much?
There's a couple things. Speaking credit solely, not collections, but from a credit aspect, digging into a particular problem, or what is deemed a problem, an account that maybe there isn't the possibility to move forward, and then finding a way to say yes, really. Oftentimes you have to get creative. You have to dig a little deeper. You may have to go to various different solutions to get to that yes, but ultimately, if you can do that, to one, show that we're really trying to partner with the customer, but also partner with our internal customers or sales and ops people, goes a
Right.
long way, and really makes you feel good if you're able to accomplish something like that.
No doubt. A lot of times credit is looked at as the gatekeepers of the business, right? But in actuality, we're a tool to help them sell more, right? We want to bring on more customers. We just want to do it in a good, organized manner, to where we've vetted these customers properly, because we're taking risks with our business's money, right? So we want to make sure that we're taking good risks instead of bad risks. So, I think that's exciting altogether, for sure. Did you have a mentor? I know you mentioned that one credit manager that kind of taught you. Would you consider that person your mentor in this business? And do you still keep in touch with them now?
Yeah, actually, I can tell you his name, to this day. Carl Zolden. Carl Zolden. He retired years ago. Lost track of him. Don't know if he's still in the Texas area or if he went back to New York State where he was originally from, I believe. But got an opportunity to work under him. Went in literally with zero experience other than just the collection background. And at the end of the day, he gave me an opportunity and definitely helped shape my career. He's a fantastic guy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love to hear that. So you've been in credit and collections for quite some time, 15 plus years, right? So actually probably more than that, huh?
Yeah, a lot more than that actually, but
Yeah,
don't like to claim all those years. Yes, sir.
yeah. No, I get it. So you've seen a lot change over the years, I guess, in the business. I mean, the basics are still there, but what are some of the things that you've seen change, let's say in the last, decade or so that you've seen?
And well, in the actual credit analysis part, much of that is the same. One of the things that we don't get much anymore that we used to rely on was trade references. We would
Hmm.
get a new account, would reach out to um, other suppliers or creditors that this potential customer had done business with, and reach out to them and get feedback. We can still do that, but we don't get a lot of feedback. Don't get a lot of information back. And so what we've had to do is rely more on the data that's available, through different software, through different um, information providers like a Dun and Bradstreet or Credit Safe or
Hmm.
things like that. But in addition to that, really for these larger accounts, we focus a lot more on what's happening in the marketplace. So something I didn't do early on in my career that I do more now is I go, if they're publicly traded, I'm able to go and kind of get a little more feedback as to really what the investing side of the world thinks or considers about this particular customer.
Okay, because you're dealing with larger organizations that may have private equity investments or large influx of cash that people are putting into the business. So you're kind of judging by that. That's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So what is one of your favorite client stories or success stories in credit?
Uh, from a credit standpoint, we had a customer, major, major household name, and it was a oil and gas company that really had uh, a bad situation as far as our AR was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And the senior management and executives really were kind of looking at cutting this particular customer off, um, largely due to payment issues. And at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really went out to see the customer and sit with them and really see what are their needs, what are their requirements, and have we fulfilled those? Have we met them? Or is this really just an issue where it's maybe a financial issue or something on their side? And when I learned that nobody had really done that, I insisted on going out with the account manager. We went and met with the customer. It was a senior VP of finance and their whole team and operations. And when I asked the question, they seemed very surprised that I took time to really invest in them. And my end goal was to resolve the issue, but ultimately I didn't really know what the issue was until I started asking those questions. And then I quickly learned that they were very specific about their billing requirements and some of the paperwork that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Later, then learned they were very clear on that. They had shared all that, and we totally dropped the ball. We didn't do any part of that, not even the beginning of it. We just handled it just like another billed account. What
Yeah.
that led to was a disgruntled customer that decided, okay, at some point we're going to stop paying you until you come out and see us and address it. So I was able to go out and do that, save it, and it was a multi-million dollar customer, and this was something that was a big win. they did more business with us. They were impressed by the fact that we took the time to really hear them out and invest in them, and in doing so, it actually grew the account. We did much more business thereafter, and they were a great customer after that.
I hope the salesman at least bought you lunch.
Yeah, I got lunch, but more importantly, and to me, this was the big win. Is it's one
Absolutely.
thing, it's one thing to or to save a customer, but for me, the big one was I was able to shape how we carried out our business moving forward, and
Yeah.
so it was kind of an eye opener to really leadership and the account manager is that we have to do better with our larger accounts because if we don't, we can end up losing them. Somebody else will take care of them if we don't. That's
That's absolutely
mm,
right. Yeah, no, if you're not going to service them, somebody else will. So
mm,
that's a great lesson, and it was probably a great lesson for the sales rep there too, and maybe the whole department. That it's not a one size fits all. And sometimes people have different ways that they want to be contacted or ways they want to receive the information, invoices and such. So it's a great way to build a relationship with a customer is going there face to face. Absolutely. I agree with you. That's awesome. What a great story. So what's the biggest mistake that you see businesses making with regards to the order to cash process and their cash flow these days?
um, not just these days, but really historically,
Okay.
right? There is a huge disconnect with senior leadership and those close to the order to cash process, and that is when the AR starts to mount, everybody says we have a collection issue. The reality is, more times than not, you have an order setup problem where bad information is coming in to the system. You have a billing problem where we're not providing the invoices to the customer the way that they've requested or meeting their needs, their expectations.
Mm-hmm.
We could have a credit issue where maybe this happens a lot in decentralized credit situations where there's an overlap. In other words, we're doing business, let's say in Africa, and we're also doing business with them here in the U.S. And now both parties, both sides, have given too much credit to a customer that's on shaky ground. Well, is it things like that? You can have a credit issue related to that, but ultimately, the AR issues, the non-payment issues, the credit issues, the order cash issues, all come from things that happen up front. And it's the order setup, account setup, account setup, order entry. The credit aspect is part of that, but the billing, it's critical. And if we get our billing right, we get paid. Like
Yeah.
literally, probably 95, 96% of the time. And then the other 4%, there may be something related to a dispute. There may be something related, and then there's maybe a 1%, like literally, if that people are truly trying to beat you out of your money. And otherwise, people want to pay you. They want to do business. They want to continue partnering with you. But if you don't meet their expectations, you're not going to get paid timely.
I think that's a great point because I do agree that the majority of these people out there are, good people and they want to continue to do business the right way. There's a very small percentage of people that, are out to beat you out of money. And then there's people that can't pay that want to pay, right? I mean, the people that want to beat you out of their money, they're criminals, they're fraudsters, they have no morals, ethics, or values. You're never going to change what happens there, right?
Sure.
Then you have the people that want to continue to do business the right way. You have to set them up the right way. So the onboarding actually, or the credit part of it, right? The collections part actually starts at onboarding, right? Setting people up in the beginning for success with your company, right? Partnering with them in the way that they have set forth that they want you to partner with them. So that's a great point. And I talk about that all the time. It's like your collections department, your collections procedures and everything start at onboarding because how you onboard that customer is going to set the tone for how they pay you. And if you don't onboard them correctly, you're not going to get paid, right? It's going to create problems and there's going to be friction. So that's a great point. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. What do you think that people misunderstand most about credit and collections and your profession?
It, I think the big part of it is that credit essentially it's an educated guess. You know, you can have the best analyst, you can have the best data,
Sure.
and you make a decision, and things could still go south. You don't you're looking at stuff that's historical data, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's not necessarily that snapshot in time. You don't have access to financials all the time, and even if you did, you're still looking at that historical data, right? And
Yeah.
so everything moving forward is truly just an educated guess. And you can be very skilled at it. You can be very good at identifying red flags and things like that to stay away from. But at the end of the day, it's an educated guess. And some people think that, oh, because my credit manager made a decision on this, and we can do anything we want. Don't worry about any limits or slow pays or things like that. Not the case at all. From from a metric standpoint, I think the biggest disconnect is especially people outside of credit collections. They'll look at things like DSO. They love to go to DSO and cite their DSO, and they'll start to tell you that that's the average days it takes to get paid. And reality is it's nothing remotely close to that. Just because it sounds like it might be, it's not. And then when you go to explain that an average days to pay is based on how much time passed between your invoice creation or invoice submission date to the date it was paid, and it's measured for each item, it's totally different than a DSO metric that is really looking at total AR and average sales or average revenue over a period, and then whatever period you're measuring has no balance whatsoever. They sound similar, but they're not. One's a metric showing how much working capital or cash is tied up in AR as it
Hmm.
relates to revenue. That's what DSO is, and the other one's truly measuring the time. And so when people see that like there's a difference there, they they think there's something flawed with the data, and then they start questioning everything really about credit and collections. And it's like, yeah, you got to understand they're two different things,
Yeah.
and there's two different ways to skin this cat. You want to reduce your DSO, fix your billing. Fix the things we're talking about, the order entry, the account setup, fix those things, and the collections will kind of take care of itself. You want to fix collections? Okay, let's dig into collections and let's review our current processes. What are we doing? What's our collection strategy look like? How can we automate some of these things? How can we get reporting better so we're sharing more information with operations? That kind of thing. So two different animals.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's also a great point. And I've seen a lot of people that brag about their DSO will actually include their cash sales too in their DSO number. And I'm like, that doesn't really count.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, that's interesting. Absolutely. What makes you feel inspired about the work that you're doing right now?
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm making a difference, and if I wasn't, then I would be looking for a new job.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, because you know, oftentimes, or I guess most of my career, I've stepped into roles where um, they were looking to either implement a new process, implement a credit process, a formal credit process, maybe consolidate credit to one location as opposed to having decentralized credit locations.
Hmm.
The various different things, where are areas where I've served as like a change agent. But at the end of the day, knowing that you're making a difference in the numbers, knowing that we're improving processes, we're improving communication with our internal people, we're
Absolutely.
we're growing our business because we're reaching out and truly trying to partner with our key accounts, our key customers, things
Yeah.
like that. You're making a difference. They'll show up in the numbers, but you go home knowing that you had a great day because you made a difference.
No, that's good. Yeah. So how many people do you have on your team that you're managing?
Um, Direct and indirect reports are over 100.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. In the U.S., well, let me say Americas. In Americas, including the Caribbean, I have 12.
Mm-hmm.
and in India, I have more than 100.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about that for a minute, because I've seen some companies that have tried to, use a team in India or in another country, right? And there's some struggles there, right? Because there's a language barrier, there's cultural differences. How have you bridged the gap there? How have you been able to make that happen?
Well, I walked in and instantly just made it all go away. No, I'm kidding. We still have challenges, and it's really challenges with, as you stated, the cultural difference.
Sure.
There's certain things that we as Americans, hold high in value, and things like being first. Not just competing, but being first. Things like specific quality of something. Like you go to a restaurant and you get bad service. The food may be great, but if you get poor service, you may not return.
Yeah.
Um, Other parts of the world don't necessarily see it that way. They view it as, hey, I had a great meal, I'll come back. Just to, whatever. There's certain little differences that really are significant at times with our customers.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether it be India or whether it be one of my other places that I've worked where, we were dealing with Philippines, we were dealing with Hungary, you know, France, there's definitely differences based on the region that you're raised and really brought up in.
Yeah. No, that's it, man. The cultural differences are tough to deal with, for sure.
We have regular training, and it's two-way training. It's not one way. We're not just telling them, hey, this is how we want things done the American way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, because there's plenty of opportunities to learn that maybe our way isn't the best way. In our minds, it is because it's what we're accustomed to. But at the end
Sure.
of the day, there's a lot to be learned. And so it's a two-way training session. We're learning more about them and the challenges that they have. And it's really based on understanding the differences between wherever they are in the world versus where we are. And I
Right.
think that's probably the same no matter what organization or what regions of the world we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I think that credit and collections has been it's been going through some challenges, right? Because we have a very aging demographic within this industry. It's not the most glamorous industry. It's not the sexiest thing in the world when it comes to careers, maybe up front, right? But for whatever reason, I've gravitated towards it and I love it, right? I've been doing it for 21 plus years. And, I live and breathe commercial finance and credit. I also own a commercial lending intermediary company that I help businesses find working capital. So I literally love credit, right? But how are you guys attracting younger workers? Is there anything that you're doing to bring in or usher in a younger generation into the business?
It, Here in the States, no. Unfortunately, not. I wish there was something that we were doing, but um, it's been a challenge even with one of the industry groups, NACM.
Yeah.
We've constantly sought younger members,
Mm-hmm.
and the main reason for that is to ensure that we continue to extend or grow um, really the industry. If we don't, at some point, it'll go away.
Yeah.
In other countries, like my company, my current employer uses India, where we have our credit collection, or some of our credit people, but our collections people. There, most of the employees coming in are what they call freshers, and they're right out of college, and
Okay.
so they come in with very little or no experience, and so you're able to train them on how to handle things. But I wish there was more of that here in the States. And as you said, as you rightly stated, it's not the most glamorous thought of
Right.
profession, but I can tell you, um, it's something that I've enjoyed, and I've done it for that almost 100 years.
I think there's a lot of opportunity here in this industry, and I was talking to my last interview, and he's really he's attracting younger people, and he's embracing AI and automation. Are you guys doing any of that? Are you embracing any of the new technology that's out there? And if so, what has been your favorite piece of technology, or your technology that you're latching onto right now?
Yeah, my particular employer, I should say, is getting into that.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably a little late to the game compared to some of the others that jumped on this right away, but we are moving into that. And there's a couple of products that they're working on pushing out right now, but um, it right now we don't have anything to work on per se. We do have other things that are in the industry. High radius. I know Get Paid had some things. I think uh, Blackline may have something, but there's other companies that
Sure.
have AI capabilities that are very slick from what I've seen at some of these industry conventions and
Yeah.
shows and everything, and would love to get my hands on something like that, and have been told there's something coming, but they haven't really shared what exactly that is. Anything that we could do to have some of these things automated, some of these regular tasks, and something as minor as a regular credit review
Mm-hmm.
that maybe provided a report. Simple things like accounts going into hold status and coming off a hold status. We have that capability now, but those are things that ought to be in there. What I've seen from some of these newer products, you can have a collection call, kind of like what we're having a conversation now, and everything's transcribed, everything's recorded.
Yeah.
And then as the collector exits that call, they're being prompted to, okay, would you like for me to send these 3 invoices you
Yeah.
discussed? And in some cases, even partially draft an email to the customer. I'm like, this is phenomenal. We didn't have that. Almost 100 years ago when I started, we had hard cards that literally were in a file cabinet, and
Right.
we had to hand write everything. I'm really dating myself, but that's what we used
You're looking
almost
at an
100 years ago.
engine that's on green bar.
Yeah, this was Green Bar was a luxury because and then the dot matrix printer and everything that would take
Right.
forever to do. Yeah, that was a luxury to what we had. When I literally started, it was all handwritten hand cards, and
Absolutely.
back then, and we were talking about doing credit analysis earlier. Back then, you could contact. They had something called a Coles crisscross reference, and these things were these huge books, right?
Uh-huh.
Like probably 2 and 3 times what a large city phone book looked like. You could go through there, and you could pull up anybody within that area by name, and then you could also pull them up by address. And so you could go there, and there's software that does that now, but you could go there and say, okay, I'm trying to reach this guy, but he's not returning my call, so I'm gonna call his neighbor. And then you could reach out to the neighbor. You had to be careful about third-party disclosure laws and not really tell them what you're calling for, but you could prompt them to go take a message and have the guy call you back. And in addition to that, if they were in a small community, you could call a library and ask the
Hmm.
librarian to go to their Coles reference book and look this up for you.
Yeah.
And if it was a small enough community, oftentimes they actually knew the person that you were looking for, and they're like, "Oh yeah, can't get in touch with him, but I can get you in touch with his wife." And this was back 100 years ago when I was doing consumer debt collections. But yeah,
Well,
times have changed, man. Being able to plug something into a system and get that data in seconds now is fantastic. But
yeah.
anything to actually, like the AI that we're talking about, to actually help the collection process
Yeah.
and the credit analysis and all that, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
I have
looking
some
forward to
tools.
more of
I
that.
have some tools to share with you, then, man. I have some tools to share with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So,
for
what's the
sure.
best compliment you've ever received throughout your career?
Uh, that's hard to say, but I think probably the greatest compliment you can get, like from your CFO, is that you don't hear anything from them. Meaning they're not coming to you crying about the status of the aging. They're not coming to you crying about the status of uh, any unnecessary risk exposure that we took on.
Sure.
I think that's probably the greatest thing from them. For me personally, I think the greatest compliment is when you have somebody that you've trained and you mentored,
Yes.
you see them make it. You know,
Yes.
you see them achieve something really good, and then they come back and they're like, "Check this out." Thank you.
Yes.
I think that's probably the best compliment that anybody can get, really. But um, whether you're in credit or collections or whatever it might be, that's really
100%.
good stuff.
Yeah. Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach him to fish, he'll eat for life. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I,
for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, how would your significant other describe what it is you do for a living?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if you'd want to I don't know if you want to go there. I, I don't know that she really fully has her hands wrapped around it. We've been married 18 years, and I don't know that she fully has her hands wrapped around it. But I think she would tell you that I'm one that lays out policy and procedures. I'm very much a structured kind of individual, just in general, and I get frustrated sometimes that she sees, but I don't share it as much as at work, and so I don't really know how she would describe that. But I would just say something probably along the lines of structured and um, man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't really know how to answer
She doesn't
that.
quite know what you do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she knows it's credit collections, and then that it's all about getting the AR fixed. But she hears these other sides of it. Some of what I do is I train operations. A
Uh-huh.
lot of cross function training. So I train operations. I train sales. Um, Also, 100 years ago, I was in sales. I was a sales trainer, and so my my real thing is to educate and train and help others grow and develop, right? And so I'm not real sure how she would describe that, but because she kind of gets it at home too, So
Yeah,
um, anyway,
that's awesome. So, one last question for you. So, if you could talk to your 20-year-old self, what is it that you would tell him or her, obviously you, him, about your career and what you've learned? What would you tell them if you could go back?
I think probably the best advice I could offer is to uh, always look for opportunities
Yes.
to grow, to develop, whatever it is, whether it's you personally, personal growth. I want to learn more. I want to go see more. I want to learn more about this particular group, this particular region, this particular culture, this particular type of work. But also, you know, when you cross paths with somebody, I'm a firm believer that there's a reason you cross paths. That there's an opportunity to learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
There's an opportunity for you to help them. Again, it's a two-way street. That uh, don't just dismiss these as simply passings, in your lifetime. Take advantage of these opportunities to sit and learn more about others and other industries and other processes and things like that, and uh, always look for an opportunity to continue to grow. You know, I didn't do that when I was younger. It didn't hit me until I was almost 100. But at the end of the day, um, if I would go back and do something differently, that's what I would do differently, and that's certainly what I would encourage anybody that's coming along is learn from those that are doing it and everything you can, and not just work related, but just life in
Life
general.
in general, yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's one of the things that I love so much about commercial credit is that I have an opportunity to learn about so many different types of business and business models and industries and how they make money and how they lose money. It's absolutely been the driver for me in my career, and what drives me is just learning about all these different businesses and industries. It's just exciting to me. So I think that's fantastic, man. Andrew, it has been great to get to know you and have you here on the show, man. Thank you so much for being the best part of the show. Absolutely. I really appreciate you being on here and taking time to do this with me.
Yeah, thank you, Sven, for reaching out. I was thrilled to have this opportunity, and maybe we can get together again sometime down the road. So thank you so much.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.